Well, a very warm welcome and good evening from DDMM HQ, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to live coverage of round 9 of the CLUB100 iRacing Championship, and we are at a circuit that's often talked about as being, you know, London's race circuit. We are, of course, at Brands Hatch, but it's a very, very wet Brands Hatch this evening in the iRacing lobby. This should be quite an interesting one for 3 25-minute races. Another opportunity for the drivers to get points on the board. And Howard Mitchell alongside me in the virtual commentary box. Howard, this is when it really starts to get to be a test for the drivers out there. 3 rounds to go. We will start to see drop scores coming into play. So there's already that championship pressure for all of the drivers out there. And now iRacing has just thrown in the wettest race that we've had so far this season into the mix.
Absolutely, Andrew. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Great to be with you again. Yeah, if you're having a good run in the championship, what do you want? You want consistency, you want predictability, and this is completely the opposite of that, right? This throws, everyone knows when they tune into a race and the heavens have opened, it adds uncertainty. It tends to make it highly entertaining for us from a neutral perspective, and it gives opportunity to those who maybe don't always get to feature towards the front, but it's a big unknown factor, and that is not what some of the drivers, I wager, would want coming into such a crucial part of the championship, where it starts to all be about those drop scores. You can have some real 0 to 0 moments in conditions like this. One point that you and I were saying just before we came on air, mate, the difference between this and the Suzuka round earlier in the year is the practice session that we're now witnessing just the end of. You're not missing any qualifying or racing action when you're seeing the cars go around at the moment, folks. The practice session has at least had these consistent conditions. It's been wet throughout, and so unlike Suzuka, hopefully at least the drivers have had some chance to get their eye in on these treacherous conditions.
Indeed, it's been consistently terrible, I think is a phrase I've used in driver's briefing earlier on this evening. Let's have a very quick look at the championship scores. So the key thing here, for any driver who has attended every single round so far, they have got 8 scores on the board. When we get to the end of round 11 of this championship, it is effectively the best 8 scores that count. So at the moment, Matt Kendall has 1,600 points on the board. He has attended every single round. Kieran Harrison hasn't, and Kieran Harrison is not here tonight. Now, this will stand as his 3rd dropped score, so he can still catch up to and surpass Matt Kendall's tally, but it's all riding now on rounds 10 and 11 for Kieran Harrison if he's going to retain his number 1 plate. We'll be talking about Clubman tonight. This is your second class of drivers out there. Josh Mitchell is currently leading in the Clubman category in 1316. Jack Eyre next up on 1250. Ollie Davies really starting to come into this championship now, was your Clubman winner a few weeks ago at Monza in the GT3s. He's now in 5th place in the scores on 1135. Murray Adams not here tonight, so he'll use this as a drop score. He's on 1122. Those are your main contenders at the moment in Clubman. Don't count out James de Havilland. He's still there. 9th place overall in the points, and with some catching up to do. We must mention Sam Sanders as well. Sam Sanders has won the last 3 rounds on the spin. First in the NASCAR round, last time out for the MX-5s, which was back at Imola, and then a few weeks ago at Monza in the GT3. So he's very much the driver on form. He's a little bit further down the order because he hasn't attended every single round so far this season, Howard. But again, now we're starting to talk about drop scores, beating your least high or lowest scoring performance so far this season. Sam Sanders, if you do all the maths, is very, very much in play in this championship. Let's talk a little bit about intermediate as well. Qualifying has started, but of course, drivers have got to do their outlaps first. It is mega tight in intermediate. 1 point between Matthew Davies and Finlay Brunton. The registration window is now closed as qualifying has started. We're just waiting to see if we would have both of those drivers here tonight, and we don't. So Matthew Davis races but Finley Brunton doesn't. Now, this will go down as a drop. He's missed one other MX-5 race earlier in the season, so that first miss will go down as his worst MX-5 night. That's one of the drops. He's not missed any of the GT3s at the moment, so he's still going to have his worst GT3 night drop to play with as well as the season goes on. Tonight will be the other drop. It's effectively you drop your worst MX-5 night, your worst GT3 night, and then your next worst night, whatever that could be. It could be a second MX-5, it could be a second GT3, it could be the NASCAR round. For Finley Brunton, it will be tonight, this second MX-5 round that he's not been able to join us for. Joao Castro and James Fremont, keep an eye on them in intermediate as well, particularly Castro. Very solid performance from Castro last time out at Monza, and we saw him have very good pace in the wet in these MX-5 cars back at Suzuka. Can he get the consistency right and strike really into the depth of that intermediate competition? Rookie is still very much open as well. At the moment, Matthew Shawnee is your points leader in rookie, 27th place overall on 541. But keep an eye on Harrison Chapman in the 303 on 468 points. Another driver who missed the first couple of rounds this season and is playing catch-up, but doing so quite nicely. That is your situation in the championship. And as we say that, I think we are pretty much into that phase of play now, Howard, where drivers are on their first flying laps. This is Magnus Riddervold on our screen, starting his first of 2 flying laps. It's a 10-minute qualifying session. The reason why it's 10 over 8 in previous years is exactly this, because once you've done an outlap and 2 flying laps around a longer circuit, Howard, if it's absolutely tipping it down with rain, you might need a little bit more than 8 minutes in that case.
Yeah, the longer lap time, a real factor here. And another factor, Andrew, is you've got to get one of these lap times in without having a 1x, right?
Yeah.
A slippery moment at a corner is going to invalidate your entire lap time. Now, the reason I bring the cameras immediately to Magnus is we saw him putting in some really impressive pace in the practice session that's just wound up. He was as high as third. I'll confess, I can't recall if he actually finished that high on the timings once all was said and done. I don't know if someone put a better time in the dying moments, but well, he's a driver who's been coming on leap and bounds throughout this season, isn't he? Anyway, but he seems to be at least based on his practice pace, really at one with the conditions in these early stages. And
I'm going to use our favourite phrase at this stage of a season, Howard, for the first time in this 2024-2025 iRacing Championship. Get your pens out on the DD-Men bingo card. Magnus Riddervold is an ultimate disruptor. He's not going to be part of the championship battle in intermediate. Why? He's already missed 4 rounds. So, yes, his non-attendance of round 1, that'll be his worst MX-5. Non-attendance of round 2, that'll be his worst GT3 round. And then he missed the NASCAR race as well. Apologies, no, he did. He was there for the NASCAR race. It was round 5 he missed. So effectively, he's already used more than 3 rounds worth of drops in terms of getting rid of those 0 scores. So he's not really going to be fighting up amongst the likes of Matthew Davis and Finley Brunton at season's end. But that's not to say that on a night like this, he couldn't really throw the cat among the pigeons, as he has done, goes third fastest, and take some points away from other drivers.
Indeed. Josh Mitchell across the line. Where does his initial lap time put him? Does he a valid lap time? No, I don't think he has. Now that's significant for our driver who's atop those clubman point standings. I think that's all of his laps done, Andrew.
I think that's both of his laps done, possibly, because he ran wide out of Paddock Hill Bend. So this could be our first bit of drama here this evening, that Josh Mitchell, the points leader in the clubman category, may have to start the first race of the evening from the back of the grid. Now, he can race forward, of course. He's got the opportunities in races 2 and 3 to race forward as well. It's the race result of race 1 that sets the grid for race 2, the race result of race 2 which sets the grid for race number 3. Just as a reference, Josh Mitchell's worst score at the moment in an MX-5 race is last time out in the Mazdas at Imola, 104 points. So there is always, what did we see there? Is Riddervold's gone pole, Howard.
Yeah, big lap. I was just when the next segment I was going to mention that he was third in the timings. He's gone better than that. He's on provisional pole.
Wow, what a performance there from Magnus Riddervold, one of the intermediate drivers. That is a stunning result. We have still got a little bit of time to go out there. Let's give you a quick rundown of how times are looking at the moment. Magnus Riddervold on pole position. Matt Kendall alongside on the front row at the moment. Henry Mackenzie Friedman was on pole position, but is now in third. Jack Hare and Sam Sanders complete the top 5. Sanders is still on a lap. We're watching him here just as he's coming onto the Grand Prix loop. This is a big lap for Sam Sanders. James de Havilland is 6th. João Castro is currently in 7th, and second of the intermediate drivers, Weddell, Alston and Bin Sahale are in the top 10. This is a properly, this is what I like about a wet qualifying, Howard. This is quite a shake-up. Josh Mitchell, I think, has now got a valid lap time in. One has come through, but it's only put him in 16th place. He's just been displaced by Matt Hale. Matt Hale into 14th place. We're still waiting for lap times as well from the likes of Charlie Summers. Who else is out there who we reckon could put the...
Shawnee needs.
Yeah,
Matthew Shawnee needs the lap time.
Matthew Shawnee needs a good time on the board. At the moment, Harrison Chapman is out qualifying several drivers who we would expect up at the front end of the field in the clubman categories. They're in 12th place at the moment. What else is going on out there that we need to know? I think I just saw Will Doyle put a lap time in. Yes, he has. He was another one of the drivers who needed something big. Has gone into 10th place. Has Sanders gone any quicker? I think the answer is no. Stays on a 1 minute 49.9.
I think Yusuf Bin Sahale's going to come across the line to put in another lap. But I think that's... I'm struggling to see who else out there is going to challenge that. Sam Sanders can still get round, and this will be a lap that counts, will it not?
No, I think he's done.
No, that's his lap's done. Yep. I think that's done. I think that's done. I think Magnus Riddervold is your pole sitter for round number 9.
Wow, what a performance from, I'm just going to remind myself, where is Magnus in the championship tally at the moment? 35th in the championship. Now, yes, that is because he's been on a part-time schedule. He's only run 4 race evenings so far. He has had, though, let's not forget, he won in the intermediate class the last time we ran in the Mazdas at Imola. So he does like this car. He's going to like this result right at the very front of the order. Charlie Summers is in the wall, so that is going to be a Premier driver towards the back of the grid.
No, he's not. He's in the top 10.
Oh,
he managed to just put a time in. He's just shot up to 6th place. Bodge, I think there's some of our information is misleading us on how many laps drivers have completed. So, okay, let's keep an eye on Sam Sanders. He might still have a valid lap in his back pocket. If he has, he's got to get over the line, as he has just done. Still reading at a 1 minute 49.9 at my end, Howard. That would be 5th place. Tim Penny and Sam Dimolo haven't set lap times yet either. This is Matthew Shawnee, who has now set a lap time, Howard, but is a good way behind Harrison Chapman for that rookie pole, and that is the checkered flag. Done.
Was that our craziest? Was that our craziest qualifying session so far in this series?
I think it was. That is, well, we mentioned that it can shake things up, these conditions. That is one shaken up grid for certain, as we're waiting just to get around to gridding up. That is a real turn up for the books. We've got some other various people well out of position. You'd have to say that the Prems are still largely risen to the top as we'd expect, but what a grid we've got.
And here it is. Magnus Riddervold starts on pole position for race 1 of round 9 of the CLUB100 iRacing Championship for the 24-25 season. What a result. He's out-qualified the championship leader, Matt Kendall, by just over a tenth of a second. Henry Mackenzie Friedman is there in third. Very good qualifying for Jack Eyre. Second in the points in Clubman at the moment. If we look at just that class, and he's on the second row as well on the outside. Sam Sanders looking to make it 4 round victories in a row. Starts tonight from 5th on the grid. Is joined by Charlie Summers, the last of the Premier drivers, on row 3. James de Havilland and João Castro go from row 4. Castro second of the intermediates. Then it's a flurry of Clubmans. Cameron Watson and Michael Weddle form up row 5. Will Doyle and Andy Alston will go from row number 6. Yusuf Bin Sahel is third of the intermediates. He's got the top rookie alongside him in the shape of Harrison Chapman. That's row 7. Will Blackwell Chambers and Matt Hale will go from row number 8. They're ahead of John Adey and Ollie Davis. Davis was the winner in the Clubman category last time out at Monza in the GC3s. He finds himself on row 9 for this one. However, he is ahead of the Clubman points leader. Josh Mitchell alongside Craig Brown is your 10th row of the grid. James Fremont and Matthew Davis. Matthew Davis being the leader in the intermediates on row 11. Shawnee, Menon, Delamere, Mignon, Penny, Dimolo and Holland complete the field. 29 runners here at Brands Hatch. We are away and racing for the first time tonight. It's round 9 of the CLUB100 iRacing Championship, and Magnus Riddervold leads into Paddock Hill Bend for the first time. It's tight here at Brands Hatch. There's a large puddle to drivers left to challenge the drivers as they head up to Druids for the first time in this one. All looking pretty calm at the front of the field here, Howard. Good to see from the drivers. How is it looking in the second half of the field? I think there's trouble in there. I think Craig Brown's involved. 3 cars into the wall on drivers left, and one of them is one of the Clapham North cars. There's a Rethink Racing car involved there as well. I think it might be Andy Alston and Will Blackwell Chambers.
Yeah, it's Will Blackwell Chambers, Andy Alston and Yusuf Bin Sahel, the real, drivers to have suffered the most from that. And there's no steering on Will Blackwell Chambers' car, and he's going to go straight on there. Absolutely no turn in at Surtees corner there, and that is a disaster there in particular for Will Blackwell Chambers.
Well, at least he's...
Ignore your timing tower.
I was going to say, I didn't know he could do that, but I suppose if there's nothing stopping him driving into the pits from that position, then so be it. But, well, that is Will Blackwell Chambers' race pretty much done. Off is Matthew Shawnee. Shawnee off on the far side of the circuit. That is your rookie points leader. And, there's more drama as well. Sam Dimolo going past Simon Delamere there. Simon Delamere, the bright yellow car in the background in some form of bother. Well, the conditions already biting here, Howard, but not biting our race leader, our pole sitter, Magnus Riddervold. He will lead at the end of lap 1.
He certainly will. Green first lap in many ways, as the timing will correct with Will Blackwell Chambers in the pit lane. Matt Kendall challenging for the lead. You can see on time it looks like there's maybe been an incident for Craig Brown further back. Through the puddles they go. I think that is going to be job done for Matt Kendall, but he's immediately under pressure from Jack Eyre as well as they head up to Druids, and through they go. But that is job done for now. Matt Kendall squirreling around on the grass a little bit for Jack Eyre, but he has made it up ground as well on Magnus Riddervold. So it's Kendall, Eyre and Riddervold, your top 3. And now Friedman challenges Riddervold as well as they're heading towards Surtees. He'll have the inside line. Nowhere near as done a deal on the inside line as it would be under dry conditions, but he is through and up into 3rd place.
That is good stuff from the Prems and the Clubmans. This is where it gets a little bit tough for Magnus Riddervold. This is where the consistency of these top drivers really comes into play. On board with Sam Sanders, looking for an opportunity. Big slide for Jack Eyre, and he's off the road. Henry Mackenzie Friedman had to take avoiding action there. Riddervold's back up to 2nd place. Sanders down the inside will take 3rd. But what happened there for Jack Eyre? Was that just a driver? He's got to wait now all the way. No, there's damage on the car. He's towed to the pits, Howard. But that shows how tough the conditions are Jack Air looking good in the first lap and a half, and all of a sudden his race is over.
Yeah, it just went round on him, didn't it? And it's so easily done in these conditions, but it, at the same time goes to show, you know, an unforced error from Jack Air is not something we've said very often in this series, and it just underlines how challenging the conditions are out there.
Absolutely. So the contact with the Armco barrier on the right-hand side coming out of Hawthorne, that may, well, it'll be radiator damage, and it may well be wheel alignment damage as well for Jack Air. The good news is his MX-5 scores have been very, very good. 198, 188, 198 from a possible 240. So at least, in a sense, there was that scope for having taken a bit of risk here tonight, because for him to go and drop one of those existing scores from his tally, he'd need to be getting seconds and firsts anyway. But well, right now he's down in 28th position. I think Will Blackwell Chambers is back out on circuit, has rejoined, and may as well, because this is going to be a long 25 minutes for everybody out there. And even if you're a lap down, you may as well get back out on track and see what positions you can gain. This is the fight for second place on your screens. Magnus Riddervold, the intermediate driver, the pole sitter, doesn't have the race lead anymore. Matt Kendall is away and gone, and surely this is a circuit that he knows in this kind of equipment from his in real life racing. Right now, Riddervold is holding off Sam Sanders, as off is John Adey, one of the parachute carrots. I think there's damage on the front right there, Howard. I think John Adey would do well to pull that over and tow to the pits.
Yeah, indeed. And another drive. It's about survival, isn't it?
Yep.
It's all about survival. This is, Andrew, this gives me memories of like when you and I were first doing what was then called BUKC Rookies. And, you know, if Mother Nature started to come down on the circuit, it was just like, just keep it on the road.
Yep.
Just keep it on the road, and you will be on for a decent result. But you get the sense, right, that these drivers at the front are starting to bed themselves into these conditions nicely. Obviously they had practice, but there's something about the race conditions, right? Running together side by side, you're forced to go off of lines in ways that, well, you haven't done. The prudent driver in practice sessions should try alternative lines, but nonetheless, it's still such a variable set of conditions that's rather hard to, you know, simulate. And you know, when you're side by side with someone and it's who blinks first on the brakes, suddenly that alternative line you practiced may not be quite as you planned it. So yeah, there's something different about getting to these race conditions, but it feels to me, Andrew, like these front runners here have started to bed themselves in, and now, you know, they're getting into that equilibrium where they've got the capacity maybe to think about how to pull a move on the person ahead of them. Right, just bed yourself in.
How do you think Sam Sanders will be playing this, Howard? Because yes, we're at that stage of the season where we start talking drop scores and what a driver needs to do and how much risk or no risk have they've got to play with. Sam Sanders, for the viewers' memories back at home, missed rounds 1, 3 and 4. So that's 2 MX-5 rounds and a GT3 round. As I've just heard someone's engine blow up, and that'll be why. The 314 Matthew Shawnee is not having a happy time out there at all. So Sam Sanders effectively has used his 3 drop scores. He's got his worst MX-5 race, he's got his worst GT3 race, and then the next worst one, and they're all 0 scores. And now he's got Henry Mackenzie Friedman up alongside him and losing position. This is actually, I think, quite a difficult scenario for Sam Sanders, because he knows he cannot afford a bad score if he's going to beat Matt Kendall in the championship stakes.
Yeah, absolutely. He has got to play this one tactically. He has the most to lose. I mean, it varies between drivers. Oh, that's round for Riddervold, and he's collected Charlie Summers as well.
Oh, and that's the problem. Sometimes the consistency can elude an intermediate driver. Magnus Riddervold was running so well. He's going to use well, I think he's just going to tow. I thought he was going to use the Will Blackwell Chambers shortcut back to the pits. I'd love to see if we can get a little look at what happened there to Magnus Riddervold. I'm guessing he just got a little bit too deep into the corner, a tricky corner indeed at the best of times. That is after the incident through Graham Hill Bend. This was a little bit early before, so he's going to come down into the left-hander. Oh, and he's lost it on braking. You can see the back end pivoting around, and poor Charlie Summers, he had nowhere to go. He had another car, I think it was James de Havilland, on his inside. So for Riddervold, that is his race effectively over.
And it can happen in the dry at Graham Hill Bend, Andrew. You can start to gain so much confidence into that corner that you actually can snap the brakes and bring yourself around there. So it's actually a sort of occupational hazard of going around Brands. But yeah, just an extremely costly way for it to have happened.
That is a real shame. Real shame for Magnus Riddervold. We'll still have the opportunities to race through in races 2 and 3. The trouble is, it can be a little bit tricky to overtake around Brands sometimes. Sam Sanders has had a huge moment there. Went straight through the puddle and got all crossed up. Now he's up into 3rd place. Second on the road is Henry Mackenzie Friedman. Henry's situation in terms of points, as into the pits comes Charlie Summers, has his one fast repair, will get back out on circuit, I think around 20th place. For Henry Mackenzie Friedman, though, just to come to him as we have a look at Rana Menon. Welcome to the championship. Rana, very experienced driver in the BUKC, has raced for Warwick University for many years. What baptism of... 20? He is in the top 20. In some ways, this is where the BUKC knowledge comes into good use here, Howard. Keep it on the road, don't fall off. You'll get a good result, as you were saying earlier. Just to go back to Henry Mackenzie Friedman, his situation in terms of points hasn't had a result higher than 3rd in the Premier class so far this year. Now, to remind, the points are attributed to overall finishing position. There's 2 rounds that Henry hasn't been able to join us for as well. So he's a little bit further back. It's still mathematically possible to win the championship. It's going to need some bad fortune for the likes of Kendall, for the likes of Sam Sanders. But right now he's at least running there in 2nd place. Also, just to bring to my own attention more than anything, Howard, is that Yusuf Bin Sahel I see in 14th place, even though he was in the wall on lap 1?
Absolutely correct, sir. This is, if you want proof of why you keep going in these conditions, this is it. Yusuf Bin Sahel in the top half of the field, having been in that wall on lap number 1. That is why you keep on circulating. Just coming to Sam Dimolo, because timing's telling me that he's had a crash. Seems to be going remarkably well for someone who's had a crash.
He's experienced at having crashes, is Mr. Dimolo. This is a man who is most... Oh, there's a moment there. I think that's for Craig Brown just ahead in P21. Is going to come back onto the circuit, just about hold right hand down and avoid any further incident. But no, I'm not sure whether Sam's racing in his new shed yet. He's been working on a project. Oh, he's coming into the pits now.
Got some damage.
Probably to tell me that the shed's not finished. Of course, one of his most famous moments was being upside down going through turn 1 at Shennington.
I don't know, between your comment on his shed and your comment on him being used to crashing, I think I know which one I'd be pulling into the pits to tell you about, but yeah.
Eric Mignon having a good race here, Howard. This is now the battle for 18th place and 2nd in rookie.
Yeah, I say Rana Menon has taken that position in since we last checked in. So our debutant rookie up to 2nd place in class, which is not too shabby. And Eric Mignon actually under pressure from Andy Alston, who is another recovering driver from a lap 1 incident. We would do well to remember. So a lot of these drivers who had those first lap incident, well, it was Will Blackwell Chambers who really lost out, of course. But you know, even Magnus Riddervold, Andrew, I know he's had he was right up at the sharp end, but he's back out. He's circulating. He's actually 8th in class at the moment. You keep going till it's over. Now, the story that's developing at the front is that Henry Mackenzie Friedman has very slowly but very surely been reeling in Matt Kendall. And as if there wasn't enough going on in this race, we've got a battle on for the lead with plenty of time still to go.
Absolutely. Drivers have got to think carefully about this because, again, the results from this race roll into the grid formation for race number 2. We're about 14 minutes into this 25-minute race. And through Pilgrim's Drop into Hawthorne's Bend, which, if you ask me, is one of the best corners on any racetrack in the UK. Towards Westfield Bend, and then it'll be time to drop down through Dingledale and to Sheen Curve as well. This is the part of the circuit where you've got to be patient. Every corner is so quick on apex speed. It's very, very tricky to make a move side by side under braking into any of these corners. There'll be an opportunity possibly for Friedman, who gets a huge load of oppo there as he's trying to get on the power out of Stirling's Bend and towards Clearways. Keeps hold of it, but again, Brands Hatch ready to catch the unwary. And, well, maybe Matt Kendall's tactic of he just looks very calm at the wheel, driving within himself at the moment. It's given him the lead so far. He's not had any moments. It's really going to be a challenge now, I think, for Henry Mackenzie Friedman to make his way through, because Kendall's looking very calm, very in control, very poised, whereas Friedman looking a bit ragged.
Yeah, I'm trying to work out what the situation is, because you were asking me a moment ago before the Riddervold incident, you know, how does Sam Sanders play this? Yes, he's in third, although I just saw him getting a massive amount of opposite lock himself in the background of shots. But in some ways, yes, he'd like to be at the front, he'd like to be ahead of Matt Kendall, but he's in a bit of clean air now. He's far back enough that if the two of them ahead of him have an incident, then he can, you know, he can react and not get collected. This is kind of all right. This is fine. He'll let his Henry Mackenzie Friedman sort of torpedo see if it can upset Matt Kendall. Keep a bit of pressure on Kendall, right? Moments like that where Friedman just shows his nose, going into what is. I mean, you were talking about this section of the lap last time they were through, Andrew. The other factor around here is how the car goes light, going over these height undulations, cresting here, for example, through Sheen, and the car goes light. In these conditions, that can be crucial, or you know, the critical moment. If you've got some opposite lock on and the car suddenly goes light, that can be curtains.
Oh, James de Havilland
now ahead, and who was that?
That was James de Havilland off and in the wall coming out of Stirling's Bend. He's back on the circuit now. Now, has he got damage? At least it's not too long of a run back to the pits if he does need to come in and get some fast repair. He's not actually lost position, because that trio behind is the battle for 5th place, headed up by João Castro and then Michael Weddle and Will Doyle. Stays out indeed. So I think James de Havilland has got away with one there. But again, there's definitely a little bit of a non-factory spec ripplage, shall we say, on the bonnet there of the 157. Just going to note as well, just looking at the live timing and scoring that we've got here in the box, Howard. 11 places gained for Josh Mitchell. Not the kind of qualifying that he would have wanted, but the consistency that has been shown by him throughout the season, again, serving him well. He's gained 11 spots, make that 10 spots. I think he's just lost one to Cameron Watson. But the points leader in Clubman is coming back into it as we have a look at Will Doyle down the inside of Michael Weddle. That's a fine move for P6.
Yeah, great little battle this actually, who now have James de Havilland along for the party as well. But yeah, absolutely good point there about Josh Mitchell. You know, he's playing himself back into this one nicely, and crucially, not just from the perspective of the race, as it's side by side between de Havilland and Castro here over 4th place. Castro still keeping his foot in it. In fact, we're going into, well, it is biblically wet. We may as well go into Noah's Ark formation, to be fair. And de Havilland takes it back again.
Some boisterous racing there. Should note as well, João Castro has got a SpongeBob livery on. I generally don't like SpongeBob liveries, but at least this one is legal, so it's fine. We'll let it go. Michael Weddle looking for a way through, trying to get back into 5th place. Oh, a little bit of a squirm there out of Sterling's is looking really tricky at the moment. That's several drivers we've seen having trouble. And of course, it's a key corner. You want to carry as much speed through it as possible on the run down to clearways to set you up then for the pit straight that's not really a straight at all, but you know what I mean, down towards Paddock Hill Bend. They are all right on the edge. We mentioned Josh Mitchell. In same regard, Matthew Davis is second of those in intermediate and is up 11 places. And on a night where his title rival Finley Brunton is not here, keeping the points ticking along is the job at hand for Matthew Davis tonight. He's got the everything is fine livery on tonight. It's running okay at the moment for Matthew Davis.
And I'm not sure if I finished the thought before James de Havilland put it into the wall, unfortunately. But it's not just playing themselves into this race; it's playing themselves into the rest of this round.
Yeah.
With the grid and the subsequent races.
Wow. I can fully understand what I think that's Eric Mignon just pulling off to driver's left was trying to do there. And it may have been completely unrelated that Charlie Summers then had a wild moment and nearly had a meeting with the rear axle of the Belgian's car then. Let's have another look at that again. It's down into Graham Hill Bend. Talk us through it, Howard.
This is another incident with João Gabriel Castro. And that was close at Graham Hill Bend.
That's close is very much the way of describing that one. At least
Will Doyle nearly collected there.
Yeah, Will Doyle very nearly collected in the same way we saw Charlie Summers. Here is Charlie Summers in the red and black Stallone Campione racing machine. It's we've still got 4.5 minutes of this one to go. And plenty still could happen. Just had a quick sight of Harrison Chapman behind there. Howard on that last shot, still running well in 13th place. But here is your new race leader. Henry Mackenzie Friedman has got through past Matt Kendall.
It was actually quite a while ago. Hopefully this is working for us. And was it traffic that came into play? Look at this. Beautiful play. Around the outside.
Yeah, I think that was getting past John Adey. That was getting past John Adey. I don't think John did anything wrong there, but that is a super move by Henry Mackenzie Friedman, one of the overtakes of the season. And look at him go now. He's clearly in the groove. He clearly likes these conditions. Last time around, he did 1 minute 14.1. 1 minute 14.1 in these conditions. We'd be pulling him over into scrutineering. 1 minute 49.14. That's what I was trying to say. He is a second quicker than the next fastest driver on circuit. This is quite a performance.
Yeah, I mean, what a move to take first place. Judged it beautifully with the traffic. And yeah, he's now got the hammer down. Obviously, he was able to reel in Matt Kendall earlier for that lead battle. So he's had good pace throughout. But yeah, it's no mean feat to be able to pull away from Messrs Kendall and Sanders at the front of a field in these conditions around Brands Hatch. It is very impressive from Henry Mackenzie Friedman in this first race of the evening, the first of 3 that we're going to have.
Good evening to those of you in chat. Hello to Murray Adams. Couldn't be with us in a racing capacity tonight. Very impressed with Magnus's runs so far. He hadn't turned any laps until this afternoon, apparently. So
really?
Very impressive from Magnus. Here's a good battle. This is João Castro trying to go around the outside of Will Doyle. That's a door that's not going to close. João Castro's going to go down the inside into Graham Hill Bend, get it in the curb. Will Doyle will run it around the outside. Good racing. Good racing between these 3. It's Michael Weddle at the head of this pack. This is all over 5th place as they run up onto the Grand Prix loop. I'm glad we've run the Grand Prix loop tonight, Howard. Everyone's a bit more spaced out. I think if we'd had these conditions on the Indy circuit, it would be more like a demolition derby. Meanwhile, side by side, Castro has got through. Little bit of door banging with Weddle through Hawthorne, and round the outside goes Doyle. Doyle into 5th place. We said from the start of the season, didn't we, mate, that Clubman was going to be a ride, and that's why. Everybody right on the limit. Will Doyle, who'd just taken 5th place, loses it. And, well, all the hard work that Will had done a few moments ago has been undone, and he's now going to fall into the clutches of Cameron Watson. Still raging on. Castro and Weddle this time. Castro round the outside. Castro back up to P5. I can hear screeching tyres, which means that someone's probably off through clearways. We've got 50 seconds on the clock to go. The leaders are all already over the start line, so everybody will be heading on to their final lap. There is the white flag. We have seen some cracking overtakes in this first race tonight, Howard.
I mean, the incident for Will Doyle slightly took away from the moment, but just, you know, casually round the outside of Hawthorne's, as you do. I know it's wet conditions, but that doesn't make it easy to go. Well, it makes it easier to go around the outside, but there's still corners where that is a pretty tricky thing, and good racing room and respect being shown by all the drivers. Thinking back to that move for the lead as well between Friedman and Kendall, you know, that takes trust between the two drivers to go side by side like that with another car as traffic on the inside as well. So some great overtakes that we're being treated to in these wet conditions.
We are on the last lap. 25 minutes has elapsed. This is your battle for 7th place. Cameron Watson's got the international symbol of never give up on the front of his car, and with good reason, because he's back up into the top 10. Checkered flag is going to be out this time around. Friedman's lead is 1.2 seconds. Here he is. What a start to the night for Henry Mackenzie Friedman. Started on the inside of row number 2 and had the dominant pace to pull out a first victory of the evening. One of the best, if not the best result for Henry's season so far. Matt Kendall P2, Sam Sanders P3. It's a 1-2-3 for the Premiers. James de Havilland, despite being off at Stirling's Bend in the last third of that race, finishes P4. Joao Gabriel Castro is going to come over the line. It's another win for the youngster in intermediate. Can he keep it going? Here's to the line. This is Doyle and Watson. This is for 7th place. This could be one where we get the photo finish out again, because that was 0.02 according to our broadcast sources, which should stress are not the official timing and scoring sources. If you were at Imola, you'll know what I'm on about there. But no, good results for all of these drivers. Harrison Chapman, top driver in rookie. That's a big result. That is a big, big result for Harrison Chapman. In 12th place overall. Should note as well, I was having a chat with Harrison about this at the UKC, PF International last week. Rookies can be moved up to intermediate if they're too good at being rookies. It's the reason why the rookie category does not have a prize drive. It still has some iRacing dollars attributed to it, but not the prize drive. You can only race for prize drives during the top 3 classes. More drivers coming over the line. Real shame that Magnus Riddervold wasn't able to keep at the front, but he's going to be P20. These are all drivers who had problems in that race, Howard.
Yeah, but him and Jack Eyre, what a story to watch in races 2 and 3 that's going to be, to see how they can come up through the field. And big results, as we sort of referred to in the middle of the race, but big result for Josh Mitchell to finish 9th in the end on that. Has played himself brilliantly back into things for the rest of this evening, and so too Matthew Davis in 14th place. Those are, it's in some ways some of the bigger results is when you can get yourself back into the mix, ready for the next race. So I think those are big results for those two.
They are indeed. We'll be straight into race number 2. The grid is forming up as we speak. Let's have a little Quick look through how they will line up here. Henry Mackenzie Friedman on pole. Matt Kendall alongside on the front row. Sam Sanders and James de Havilland row 2. Joao Castro and Mike Weddle on row 3. Will Doyle and Cameron Watson on row 4. Josh Mitchell and Ollie Davis on row number 5. Charlie Summers and Harrison Chapman on row number 6. Brilliant performance from Chapman to be the top rookie there. Yusuf Bin Sahel and Matthew Davis on row 7. Andy Alston and Tim Penny on row 8. Matt Hale and James Fremont on row 9. Jack Eyre and Magnus Riddervold on row 10. Rana Menon and Tom Holland on row 11. John Adey and Craig Brown on row number 12. It's Jack Eyre and Magnus Riddervold. We've already talked about them. Dimolo, Delamere, Minion, Blackwell Chambers and Shawnee. Howard, over to you for the start.
Here we go then, lights out and away we go for second race. It was a relatively clean start for race number 1. Are we going to see the same here in race 2? It's Henry Mackenzie Friedman this time who leads them through turn number 1 and up the hill for the first time towards Druids. This is an opportunity for Matt Kendall and Sam Sanders to strike early if they want to. Looks to me like it's been all clean through Druids. What about the run to Graham Hill Bend? We saw incident and accident here in the previous race, but it's looking good there, and there is Magnus Riddervold trying to make early progress, as that was a moment there, I think, for Matthew Davis briefly, and Craig Brown has fallen towards the back there. I think Rana Menon got slightly balked as well, coming out of Graham Hill Bend. And they all come out of Surtees, and I'm impressed. Relatively clean start there. There were a few slips and slides there, but I think that's to be expected. Although Rana Menon is stationary at Surtees, so Rana is round that is our debutant this evening. But by and large, a pretty clean start then. Let's be clear, as we saw in the previous race, an incident now does not mean that you are out of the running. Tom Holland as well has had some kind of incident there on the circuit map, that the driver 395, and I think there's damage as well on the car for Tom Holland, but very much worth keep going. Josh Mitchell's had an incident. Josh Mitchell is at the side of the road, and after we'd credited him with such a good recovery up through the order in race 1, is round, and he had to wait for pretty much the whole field to go through there. That is an incident between Sheen and Sterling's. If we can find out what happened there. Oh, was that forced, or did that have some help from Yusuf Bin Sahel behind it? I couldn't quite tell from that angle. But either way, Josh Mitchell, he must be kicking his, cursing his luck. He's got it all to do again for race number 2.
It's not been his night so far for the leader in those points in the clubman category. Back at the front of the field, Matt Kendall now got arguably his closest rival in the championship right on his heels, Sam Sanders, who had so many problems in the 2023 edition of this championship, but he really does seem to have pulled it all together for this one. It's a little bit further back is the site of Magnus Riddervold starting to make his way through the field, just trying to get past Matthew Shawnee. Back up to 21st position, Simon Delamere next up there in bright yellow 307.
Genuinely very interested to see how Magnus gets on here. Jack Eyre, just for reference, here he is up in 15th place on the tail of Matt Hale and Cameron Watson. Interesting for these drivers because we know they've got good pace, Andrew, but got to execute a lot of moves cleanly, bide their time and be patient if they're going to play themselves back into this one.
Well, yeah, because they've almost got to think of this as a two-stage race to maximise the number of points. Oh, Jack Eyre and Matt Hale getting a little bit close and personal through Sterling's there. As there was trouble there for, was that Craig Brown? Yes, it was. So Craig Brown's had an off. Magnus Riddervold may have been involved as well. Oh, split new situation, is going to hit the wall. That's a big, big off. And then Craig Brown has his own incident behind. In fact, exactly the same incident behind, both of them toe to the pits. That will be the end of any proper running for them in this one.
And I think that was Josh Mitchell as well, who basically just went off the track in avoidance. Like, I'm not getting entangled in another one of these. I will happily take the time. But yeah, and there's movement for second place as well. Here, Sam Sanders through past Matt Kendall, and James de Havilland fancies a piece of the action as well. And this, Andrew, has potential to have quite significant championship permutations as well. It does
indeed. So Sam Sanders has got ahead of Matt Kendall in terms of the points. That would make them equal for the rounds so far. And this is the stage of the season where they start to look a little bit deeper. Charlie Summers down the inside there of Michael Weddle. Apologies, I'm not sure whether that was a defensive move for fifth place or an attacking one. Either way, Summers is in the top 5. We start to do the arithmetic and the gymnastics as Sam Sanders has a big slide and is off the road. He's got to get it caught up. He's going to spin round and into the wall. Sam Sanders crashes out of race number 2. We've been saying for the last few weeks that he cannot afford in his title bid to make a mistake. Is this a critical moment in the Premier Championship story? He's going to try and get that. Thought he towed at first. I think he's trying to get it back to the pits under his own steam. The trouble is, Sam, your front left is completely caved in. He's somehow been able to get it back on the circuit. This is all to try and just gain a little bit of time versus towing back and letting iRacing sort it. But I'm afraid to say how I think it'd be quicker to just pull that one over, press escape, and get it back to the pits. That is going to take a long time to get back to pit road.
Yeah, you can see exactly what he's trying to do, but the front left of that Mazda is looking more than second hand. And he's got serious problems on the front left, and what's worse now, Andrew, he might get the worst of both worlds. He's got to the downhill bit now. He'll probably be able to get it back from here, but he's losing. You can see the driver tracker in the top right, how much time he is losing. He's going to be right to the back of the runners. That is disaster for Sam Sanders.
And I say, in a situation in those points, and this is where something like the attendance bonus could really, really come into play, because Sam Sanders is not going to get any attendance bonus points at the end of the season. Matt Kendall at the moment is on for getting the full complement of 75, which, when you start doing the maths and you start looking at the drops, the potential bonuses, does swing it at the moment in Matt Kendall's favour. Now, you can win this championship if you don't attend all rounds, you don't get the attendance bonus, but when you do attend, you dominate, which is pretty much what Sam Sanders has been doing for the past 3 rounds. You cannot afford, though, to have bad scores. And when I say a bad score for a Premier, I'm meaning anything kind of under 175 points. Sam could still get above that tonight, as Will Doyle's gone round. Will Doyle's gone round and nearly entered into pit lane there. Will lose a stack of positions. The trouble now, Howard, is, well, this would have been a score around 76 points for Sam with that second place. It's now going to be down. Where's he fallen all the way? It was fallen all the way down to 25th place. He's probably lost somewhere in the realm of about 50 points with that off. And he's now got to start from, again, we'd assume around that same region for race number 3. It could, in effect, be a 100-point drop, that incident. That's how costly it could be. And with this title battle so tight, that could be the difference maker come the end of March.
Yeah, it really could. It really could. Mid-pack here, looking at a decent battle. The battle in... no, it's not Sam Low, he's slightly ahead of them. This is Simon Delamere and James Fremont, Matthew Shawnee, and a certain down on his luck Josh Mitchell trying to salvage some kind of decent points on this. Although at this point, Andrew, he'll be... I can't recall how his other MX5 rounds have gone, but he'll be hoping this is the drop score.
Well, that's the thing. If there has been a weak area for Josh Mitchell so far this season, it has been his MX5 racing. His GT3 scores look like this chronologically: 198, 183, 183, 192. His NASCAR wasn't bad either, 156. Remember, this is all from a possible 240. His MX5, I think if his MX5 results had been better, we wouldn't really be talking about Clubman being an open book still. But this is why we are still talking about it being an open book, as Mitchell goes around the outside of Matthew Shawnee there for P18. Again, out of a possible 240, Mitchell has scored 170 at Suzuka, 130 was the next one up, and then 104. He's been on a downward trend with his MX5 results. Now, he could still get rid of that 104 tonight, as we have a look here. This is Charlie Summers down the inside of James de Havilland. This is third place. Good move there from Charlie Summers to get himself up to the podium. But this is why this championship is a little bit different. And the way that the drop scores are working this season, it puts the emphasis on you've got to be an all-rounder. You can't just say, oh, I'll use my worst 3 scores for the bit I don't like. I'll put them all on the Masters. He'll have to drop one of those GT3 scores, which is good. You've got to have that consistency across all the different formats and cars to emerge as champion. And right now, Josh Mitchell in these MX-5s, it's looking a bit vulnerable.
Yeah, absolutely. I know it's become, you know, it's been a theme of the last few rounds, but shout out for João Gabriel Castro. He's just put in an amazing move there around the outside of James de Havilland. You know, we've seen him come on leaps and bounds, and but even by the sort of much improved standards that he's had in the last few rounds, or even with that growth, I should say, this is a highly impressive showing. You know, he is going toe-to-toe here with some of the best in this championship, and he's, I mean, look at this, he's challenging Charlie Summers now for the outright podium position. This is brilliant stuff.
It's the consistency word again, though. We did see this kind of pace from João at Imola earlier on in the season, but incidents later on in the race, not his fault, but incidents nonetheless, meant he logged a lower score than perhaps he should. He was very strong at Daytona in the MX-5, so it's not the first time that we've seen João up and amongst it with the Clubman. Oh, is there more problems for Josh Mitchell? That was contact with one of the parachuting carrots. I think that was with Matthew Shawnee. This is not a good night at all for Josh Mitchell, as I think there's also a bit of problem out there for Simon Delamere, as he's fallen down to P22.
Indeed, here he is. He's circulating again, though. Well, that Mazda at least looks like its suspension's surviving.
So,
still a question of survival out here, isn't it?
It is indeed. We're halfway through race 2. Henry Mackenzie Friedman, at the moment, on for a perfect start to his evening. Already has a race win from earlier on tonight. If he wins this one, that'll be 160 points from the possible 160 so far, with another 80 points up for grabs in race number 3. Still this situation though with Matt Kendall there in second place, and his ability to keep the points tally ticking over. Wouldn't quite go as far to say as this is Henry Mackenzie Friedman back in championship contention. On board with James de Havilland, who is your Clubman leader at the moment, and has just set the fastest lap of the race.
Quite, yes. So he's clearly got some pace. Whenever we're going on board, Andrew, I don't know if it's just, no, this is what it's like every corner all the time, or if we are just locking in on some highly dramatic moments. I've got a funny feeling it's the former, and this is just what everyone's on board looks like all the time.
My oh my, there's some slip angles going on there for everybody. They're keeping on top of it for now. James de Havilland just going for that slightly tighter line. This is the battle for the rookie lead as Matthew Shawnee goes through. That is more like it from Matthew Shawnee, who's had some problems the last couple of rounds. This is a tight battle in the championship with Harrison Chapman. Chapman's going to be back down the inside through Druids. good stuff on the brakes, but Shawnee's still on the outside. Will have the advantage for the next braking zone into Graham Hill Bend. This is all over 18th position. I think the other key thing right now, though, in this championship situation, Howard, is the longer Matthew Shawnee can keep Harrison Chapman there in 19th, he's reducing the delta. He's reducing the swing of points. Harrison Chapman has already got a good score on board tonight. Maybe he's taking it a little bit more cautiously through this second race, but this is good to see from Matthew Shawnee's perspective that he is fighting back.
Yeah, this is good stuff. It's good stuff for us as neutrals to keep things interesting here in the rookie class. But this is, as you say, really good stuff from Matthew Shawnee. Eric Mignon, by the way, is some 8 seconds down the road behind this. And I never know at the moment with these drivers if they're just positioning themselves for a move or they're clinging on with a massive save. It's what makes these conditions fantastic. It's what's made it such a big addition, of course, the wet conditions to the iRacing service during 2024. But yeah, this is fantastic stuff. I think having the conditions in the practice session did make the difference. Things seem a little less chaotic than Suzuka, as there's another challenge here. Harrison Chapman goes back into the lead of rookies. It means we're being subjected to some fantastic dogfights through these treacherous conditions, and the lead changes back again.
Good stuff from Harrison Chapman to work his way through. Ahead of them is James Fremont. So just looking at lap times, they are a little bit quicker than the Fremont, Dimolo and Hale group. Back at the front though, James de Havilland down the inside of João Castro on the far side of the circuit. You don't often see overtaking through these corners. James de Havilland is still side by side with João Castro. He's going to have to give that one up. Castro's going to go around the outside, or hold it round the outside into Sterling's Bend. Next up will be Clearways. You see all the gravel that's being kicked up as well. That was a new feature with the new debris model on iRacing. It was introduced, about 5 or 6 weeks ago.
Indeed. And sorry, Andrew, to cut across, the other interesting thing here is look how the lead gap has closed up. Matt Kendall beginning to challenge Friedman again. Charlie Summers is close in hand as well. This is, well, spread out a little bit after that little exchange between Castro and de Havilland, but this top 5, Andrew, still tantalisingly close.
Yes, indeed. Castro had a big moment there. It's side by side between Kendall and Friedman through Druids, and Kendall has gone round the outside of Friedman to take the lead of race number 2. And I just wonder, with the demise of Sam Sanders in this race, has Matt Kendall kind of had a word with himself? This is the time. This is when I've got to push. This is the best opportunity for a round win for the first time this year. That is a stupendous move round the outside to take the lead of this one. He's got to keep pushing on though. He's still got, what, 7.5 minutes and probably more, because they came over the line in race 1 with about 20 seconds on the clock, so it'll be more like a 26.5 minute race, maybe even 27-minute race than the 25 originally prescribed. I'm enjoying this battle tonight. It's not something we've seen much so far this season, Howard. Matt Kendall versus Henry Mackenzie Friedman. This is 2 drivers though right at the top of their game, and a new problem or challenge, shall we say, is going to be upon them soon, because I can see traffic up the road.
Yeah, indeed. It's that comes in the form of Tom Holland. He's running 5th in the rookie class at the moment, but yeah, it's absolutely going to be a factor. He drives right on the limit as come on to lap 11, and once again Friedman goes for it. He's going to use the traffic once again to good effect down the inside of turn number 1. There's still overlap between them, those they head up the hill towards Druids, and we know that Kendall can be strong around the outside. This is where he took the lead a lap ago, and they're still side by side, but Kendall's going to hang on to it in a similar fashion to how he took the lead.
Mega stuff from Matt Kendall there. Stayed calm, as Henry Mackenzie Friedman threw it in there down Paddock Hill bend, used the possible distraction of the back marker to great effect, but it's that run round the outside through Druids that's looking pretty quick right now if you're in that number 67 car of Matt Kendall. They've started to pull away from James de Havilland, who's got up to third place. Let's have another look at that again. That's what's happened. So João Castro's gone round, full 360, gets it back together, and still holds fifth place. It's another close moment for one of the intermediates out there, back at the front of the order. This is a fascinating battle, back and forth. Friedman does look quicker at this part of the circuit, and is looking down the inside, going through Dingledell. Oh, around the outside again, holds Matt Kendall, but he's now in the grass. He's not going to have nice tyres for Sterling's. Through they go. James de Havilland is back on the rear of this battle now in third place, and Charlie Summers as well in P4. Charlie Summers is not a factor in the championship. He is a Premier driver, and he's nearly lost it through clearways there. Magnificent save from Charlie Summers. He can't win the championship. He's not attended rounds earlier in the season. This is... We've been doing this championship since 2020, Howard. I cannot remember a round where my heart has been coming out of my chest at every single possible moment, because things are so tough out there for not just the drivers in the second half of the field with a little bit less experience. These are some of the top drivers in the country when it comes to this format of racing, and even they're struggling.
Yeah, it's brilliant stuff, isn't it? I think it is good. I'm going to say it's ultimately good for the heart health, right? To have this many shocks. This is fantastic edge of the seat stuff between these drivers. In fact, throughout the field, there's plenty of passes. I cannot keep up with all of them throughout this field, but these drivers right on the edge. We're seeing every time we go on board with them just how hard they're having to push, skirting the line between success and disaster at pretty much every corner. And it's still not done yet, as they're all nose to tail coming through this hard part of the lap. As I said, the car goes light, then it suddenly becomes heavy again as you go through the dips. As Charlie Summers nipping at the heels of James de Havilland for third place. Matt Kendall with perhaps a bit of breathing space this time as he heads towards Sterling's. But it's ebbing and flowing with each corner here. And a lap on from us seeing Charlie Summers have the biggest save I've seen in a while into clearways. He's right nipping at the heels of third place again.
Yes, indeed. João Castro is having a moment in the background, just coming, I think, out of Westfield. He's about 5 seconds behind now, and he's 3 seconds ahead of Michael Weddle. I think for the intermediate stakes, he'd be well advised just to bring this one home. Just got over 2.5 minutes remaining on the clock. There is Charlie Summers in number 35. Trouble for Henry Mackenzie Friedman. Can he get it back together? Yes, he can. James de Havilland's going to be down the inside for second place, but it's that outside line. That's where the grip is right now. And Friedman's back down the inside to take second place. De Havilland, who had a moment himself through Druids, has now lost third to Charlie Summers. But just as soon as we finish that sentence, de Havilland's having another think about getting back down the inside of Charlie Summers. Thinks better of it through Surtees. What a race we're having tonight. There's traffic in the form of Simon Delamere. That was the moment for Friedman. And then this was the moment, the inside line. There's just no grip there at all. The rears light up for James de Havilland. He goes for a bit of drifting and loses one place for his troubles. I almost don't want to mention this next sentence, Howard, because whilst everything has been going on, there's been a tremendous drive through the field. Will Blackwell Chambers is up 21 positions in this race to P7. What a recovery for the clubman driver in car number 143. As Friedman's wide again, out of Sterling's. This is going to be an opportunity surely for Charlie Summers to go through into second place, and he takes it. So Summers up to P2. We will see the white flag this time around. 1 minute remaining on the clock. Lap times at the moment in the 149s. There it is. Matt Kendall would take the lead of the round if things stayed this way. Henry Mackenzie Friedman knows he needs to get back into second place and ahead of Charlie Summers if he's going to equal the scores up with one race to go here this evening. All of them now wise to that wide line through Druids. Bit of a tail happy moment for Charlie Summers coming out of the second proper corner here, but not enough, Howard, for Friedman to get an opportunity down the inside.
Indeed, Matt Kendall having a great start to this last lap though, Andrew. They're all squabbling behind him. It's giving him the opportunity to pull ahead, but that's Charlie Summers now with Henry Mackenzie Friedman on his inside through Surtees, but the grip around the outside has allowed Charlie Summers to hang in there, but he's squirreled around on the grass on exit, and that's allowed both of them through as they come onto the back straight.
Down through Pilgrim's Drop, Hawthorne Bend is next. Got to thread your way through here this evening with these very treacherous conditions, which earlier I saw iRacing describing as moderately wet. I'd hate to know what more than moderately wet is round here this evening. Charlie Summers is on the grass, looking for a route down the inside of James de Havilland as they go through Sheen Curve, and he's got it done. What a move by Charlie Summers. Well, this place is famous for its past in rallycross. That was a little bit of unexpected rallycross from Charlie Summers to retake third place. This is going to be a win for Matt Kendall. It will equal things up in the points for the round. Henry Mackenzie Friedman there in second place. What a race, what a victory for Matt Kendall. And we've still got another race to go here this evening. James de Havilland first at the Clubman's home. João Castro with another win in intermediate. What a drive from Will Blackwell Chambers there. He's back in play with P6 from 28th on the grid. Good score for Jack Eyre. 8th place, gain of 11. And with title rival Josh Mitchell further down the field, that is very good news indeed. Others coming over the line. Yusuf Bin Sahel, Andy Alston, Matthew Davis, all there, 12th, 13th, 14th. It's going to be another rookie win for Harrison Chapman. He's going to chip away a little bit more at the points lead for Matthew Shawnee. And that is 2 top 15s for Chapman so far tonight. Very, very nicely done. There's still more cars to come over the line. Josh Mitchell is going to come home P17. So that's a P9 and a P17. Just quickly doing the maths. That is going to be 92 points accumulated so far. So he could still beat his worst MX5 round so far this year with a result. He'd just, in fact, need to go and complete one lap of the next race and he'd get at least points for 29th place. Sam Sanders, though, this is going to be P21. To put into context how much of a loss on points this is, that will be a championship point score from this race of 30 points. He span out of second place, which would have been 74. 44 points for a driver who has no drop scores to play with between now and the end of the season. 44 points has just gone, has escaped for Sam Sanders. As I say, it's not the end of the season. The championship won't be decided tonight, but that could be a very, very key moment. And breathe, Howard Mitchell. That was two unbelievable races as we go into the 10-minute warm-up break, if we, I don't know what to call it tonight.
It's definitely
Cool
a break
down
for me, Andrew. There's no warm-up here. It's all break is needed after that one.
What are your thoughts?
I'm really hesitant to say the next phrase because we've had some really good races. Surely one of the races of the season just then. That was fantastic stuff from start to finish. I'm just so impressed by the caliber of driving that we're seeing tonight. You know, yes, you know, things are happening, but you know, in such difficult conditions when you've got so many cars around you, it happens. and you know, every single time we're going on board with these drivers, I'm like, I'm going through, I'm getting, is it possible to be both stressed and delighted at the same time? It's just fantastic to watch, but brilliant battling throughout. Several drivers still falling by the wayside, who I think could give us some real entertainment coming up through the field in race number 3. Some brilliant moves, Andrew. I know it's easier to go around the outside, or there's more grip on the outside relative to the inside in these conditions, but still, the judgment these drivers are showing when they're on the limit is absolutely superb.
And there's more of it to come. Race 3 will be gridding up in around 8 minutes' time. We're going to take a short break, look at some of the commentary highlights from recent times. More to come, of course, as in real life racing gets going this weekend. We'll be back for more action here in the CLUB100 iRacing Championship. Keep it locked here on the YouTube channel for more. Green flag about to be in the air. There it is. Eyes on those lights. They're coming on. 1 light, 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights. The KZ third heat is go. Good start for Albanese. He's going to hold the lead into turn 1 ahead of Gustafsson. The rest of the field filing through. Good start down into turn 2 and turn 3. The race result because of Mottram's penalty, but Daniel Munro has had this titanic duel with Rory O'Regan this year. It wasn't Rory's day, but it is Daniel Munro's day. Daniel Munro wins at Rye House and is champion for the 2nd year in a row in a CLUB100 juniors category. Yeah, and always going to switch back here to the inside. That's a beautiful move by Reed on the inside through Park. Showed a bit of a dummy there to Carl Garnett. Brave stuff from the championship leader. That's him up to 3rd. Before, as there is Hugo Schwarzer out of the race. Well, we were talking about Slater needing to outscore Schwarzer by 10 points. As Charlie Hart's off and into the grass, catches it up, and somehow keeps himself in 2nd place and pointing in the right direction. Fernandez has lost the position. I think it's Seaworthy who's come through into 2nd place. What a moment. The push on these tyres. We've seen it throughout the weekend that the Maxxis compound really rewards a driver, but he's going to have to take a lot of energy out of himself and the kart as we look at a replay here of Martinez and Lysen side by side into turn 1. Wow. Really close there. Bit of contact between the two of them. And Martinez up on the curb. This is another replay. This time it's Craigie versus Martinez into the same portion of the circuit. There you see Martinez trying to go around the outside, gets off the rubbered in part of track, and that's where he loses out to Jack Island. Was right on the limit of adhesion for Schaufler. On the brakes down the inside, comes Dries van Langendonk, immediately retakes the lead at the next opportunity. Into turn 1, Menz is going to go down the inside. Big move from the Briton for Ricky Flynn Motorsport, and it's worked. Costoya goes through as well. Arias is now challenging Schaufler. It's all gone wrong for the Austrian. 3 laps to go, 2.5 laps to go. This is Dries van Langendonk's best opportunity now. He's got to go hard and break away from the rest of them, leave them fighting for 2nd place. Oh, it's down the inside, contact, and Lettimaki spins, and Schaufler retires, both of them out, no points at all for the championship leader. Lettimaki is absolutely furious. That is the risk. 2 championship rivals side by side. Ovenden's got past Nicky Taylor, and now the sight that Alex Solly did not want to see this weekend. It started as an absolute disaster for Tom Ovenden, retiring on lap 1 of race 1. Now he finds himself side by side with Alex Solly heading towards Copse Corner. Harry Hickson's trying to make an overtake as well on Jack Byrne there, and I think he's pulled it off through Copse Corner. Side by side once again between Solly and Ovenden. Ovenden takes a hop across the curve. Moved by Buckley on Mackie. I think they're resigned to fighting for the last spot on the podium. Can Benjamin Maniac get another home victory? He looks to the inside, and there's the near contact there. Through goes Benjamin Maniac. What a move through turn 4. By side, they're wheel banging through turn 12. It's still not done. 1 more corner to go. Pradir down the inside. Has he carried too much speed? He's got the control. Thomas Pradir's going to take it on the line, but here comes Maniac. Maniac on the line, and he takes it. Benjamin Maniac wins it with a classic at Swearer by 0.015. It's a home victory for the Spaniard, and he takes the lead in the championship. What a finish! It's not bad for either of them to the inside. Pritchard Williams, that's going to bring Hunter back into play. Connington back into play. Higgins, Lilly, McQueen, Bishop, Geraghty, Graham, Joshua Graham's back in this as well. That's down into Ashby. Teddy Pritchard Williams is trying to hold them all up. Surely this is going to come to blows for someone. 3 wide. McQueen round the outside takes 4th place. That is experience. This is why he's been race winner in this race so many times, 3 times before. Can he find a way through? Back in comes Gilbert as well, over the curb again, jumping over that curb, huge amounts of it taken by Guy Cunnington. There's going to be 3 more laps of this one, ladies and gentlemen, and we still don't know. We haven't a clue who's going to be Open Champion for 2024. Hunter to the outside!
Oh, no!
And goes across the grass. Pritchard Williams spins out, and it's gone because Macaulay Bishop, the winner of the junior race last year, with 2 laps to go, Hunter is out. That is out. It. The run for the last 2 years will not continue to 3, and it's 1, 2, 3 clear of the field. Gilbert defends the outside. Bishop around the outside. That is outrageous. Me. The junior champion from last year has done thousands of overtakes round Wilton Mill over the years. That may well be the best one he's ever done. Welcome back, everybody, to live coverage of round 9 of the 2024-2025 CLUB100 iRacing Championship season. 2 races, dramatic races that we've seen so far tonight, set things up for the round decider here at Brands Hatch. If you're just joining us, it wet, very, very wet. The worst conditions we've had for any of our rounds so far this season. Having said that, the drivers have taken to it, they've tackled it, and they've delivered some very, very exciting racing so far this evening. This is, of course, a big stage of the season. This is the penultimate time that we'll see the Mazda MX-5s in action this season. We've got the season finale at Donington Park, and if I've got this correct, about a month's time. But this is a big opportunity for drivers to get rid of one of their earliest scores in the season. Howard rejoins me on the comms. We've had a very, very topsy-turvy set of results so far tonight, unless your names are Matt Kendall or Henry Mackenzie Friedman.
Able to survive the course so far, haven't they? Really good results for those 2. They'll be the drivers to beat in this 3rd race on this circuit, which I've just checked, Andrew, is still described by the simulator as moderately wet. Moderately wet. I mean...
Well, is there still a 35 kph wind blowing across the circuit? There was earlier.
Oh, it's dipped. It's 33.
Oh, well, okay, that's going to make all the difference. That must be why it's moderately wet. The wind's just blowing all the water away. Anyway, let's as the break, the 10-minute warm-up session that we put in, just to give everybody a bit of a comfort break, finishes. Let's have a look at the grid. Let's do that. Let's get that out of the way. This is, of course, the result of race number 2. Sets the grid for the last race of the evening. Matt Kendall, Henry Mackenzie Friedman. Both of them with a 1st and a 2nd. Both of them 154 points from a possible 160 so far. Another 80 points available in this one. Charlie Summers and James de Havilland on row 2. Joao Castro and Will Blackwell Chambers on row 3. Brilliant performance from Blackwell Chambers in the last race. Went from 28th on the grid to P6. Michael Weddle and Jack Eyre on row 4. Big chance this for Jack Eyre to close in some of those points in the championship. Cameron Watson and Will Doyle on row 5. Ollie Davis and Yusuf bin Sahel on row 6. Andy Alston and Matthew Davis on row 7. Harrison Chapman, first of the rookies, is on row 8 alongside Matt Hale. Josh Mitchell, your current points leader in club, and needs a good race here from row 9 alongside James Tremont. Mignon, Shawnee, Sanders, Riddervold, Delamere, Dimelo, Holland, Ady, Menon, Brown and Penny. They're all on the grid. We are away and racing for another 25 minutes here at Brands Hatch. And it's going to be Matt Kendall who'll lead into Paddock Hill Bend at the start of this one. Wide line for Friedman, holds on to second place ahead of Charlie Summers. The run up to Druids has been tricky for a few drivers here tonight. That outside line where all the grip is, the track surface, the conditions, they don't change, they carry over. There is an option in the sim to clean the track effectively after each race. We don't have that here. Keeps it all nice and steady. Not steady though, Howard, for Sam Dimelo. He's had problems.
Yeah, he's round the exit of Druids, and they've got crashes in the mid-pack. Matthew Shawnee's involved,
Oh!
Simon Delamere is involved, and there's Sam Dimelo arriving on the scene as well. And that has been a disaster, in particular for Simon Delamere and Sam Dimelo, but another costly moment for Matthew Shawnee.
Yeah, I'm afraid for Simon Delamere, that's an unsafe rejoin if I ever saw one. So I think that's going to be a report for Simon on that one. All incidents logged by SDK's system, which we use in a broadcast sense to show you what has happened out there to drivers. All those incidents are reviewed, and those that need to be sent to the stewards. Well, that's what happens. That's how it's controlled. But yeah, that's not a great moment for Simon Delamere. Pulls straight onto the circuit. Nothing Sam Dimelo could have done about that. But how about this? Change of leader at the front. Charlie Summers has got past Matt Kendall. Let's have a look at how he did it. Far side of the circuit, brave down the inside. That is a super move. Add that one to the highlight reel for tonight's round. Charlie Summers takes the lead.
It's his turn to see if he can pull away, and he's got some decent breathing space, a whole 0.6 of a second, which by the standards of this sort of top 4, top 5 that we've had is quite impressive. Now, here's a driver we've mentioned so much, Andrew, how well he played himself back into things for this last race. Will Blackwell Chambers, who we saw having to basically cut across the track and go to the pits at the end of lap 1 in race number 1, now finds himself in 5th place and challenging James de Havilland for the Clubman class lead.
Yes, indeed. Will Blackwell Chambers has had a bit of bad luck across the course of the season so far. It would be a mighty effort to pull himself back into the title picture. He's had some under 100-point scores on his scorecard, and at least one of them is going to carry over, unfortunately, into his final tally. Kind of a par for the course score for Clubman Championship contenders has been anything north of 160 points. Here is Sam Sanders. Big race this for Sam Sanders. So, if you're just joining us, driver who's won the last 3 rounds overall and in Premier, who has no drop scores to play with between now and the end of the season, meaning every single individual race counts, was in 2nd place during race 2, on for scoring 74 from 80, and then dropped it. Cost himself 44 points. And the other difficulties now means he's got to race back through the pack in race 3. Sam Sanders is in half damage limitation mode, Howard, but he's also got to attack, particularly with Matt Kendall having a good night. Friedman and Kendall have swapped positions, but right now Kendall would continue to extend his championship lead.
Yeah, it's difficult for Sanders. He's come up against us. That was, I think that was Simon.
Yeah.
Off to the driver's right there, up towards Druids. But this is a difficult pack that he's having to pick his way through here for Sam Sanders, and he can't afford, Andrew, for another costly moment.
No, he can't. Cameron Watson having some trouble out there as well in the Red Lodge, karting 148. Josh Mitchell is there as well in a very similar position to Sam Sanders, that he's got to race through. He's got to get some more points on the board, but he cannot afford to have any further incident. You've got Andy Alston in the midst of everything ahead of these two championship contenders as well. Andy Alston, who's in the running for one of those positions at the end of the season in class, which will give him some iRacing dollars, so he's got plenty to race for. Oh, as off goes Sam Dimlow in the background. Ollie Davis was on the inside of Cameron Watson there, but has lost positions now, has slipped down to 14th place. Jack Eyre, the number 5 there, is side by side with Will Blackwell Chambers. This is over 5th place, and round goes Jack Eyre. Not for the first time tonight. Beautifully swings it back. That's great car control from Jack Eyre, but he's going to lose positions. Yusuf Binta Hale's going to be looking down the inside now for what is 9th place, but quickly it turns again. We were just talking about Josh Mitchell, deficit to championship rivals. Well, there's his biggest championship rival in the number 5, having for the second time tonight, Howard, a half spin on the far side of the circuit on the Grand Prix loop. The good thing, though, didn't make contact with the wall this time.
Great recovery from him in the moment, and it was a nice demonstration, by the way. You saw there Jack Eyre spinning out from the pack that had Matt Kendall in it, and he's ended up at the front
leader!
Of the pack. That's Sam Sanders in it.
Leader in trouble. Charlie Summers has had a problem. The number 35, who was leading this race, has just tumbled down. It was through Paddock Hill Bend. Did he get hit by anyone? No, that is incredible that nobody made contact with the number 35. But Charlie Summers has potentially thrown away here a race victory at Brands Hatch. He's now got Josh Mitchell down his inside for P14. What a story we're getting here. Henry Mackenzie Friedman back to the front of the order, and right now there's a long, long way to go in this race. The best part of 20 minutes. But if things were to end this way, Henry Mackenzie Friedman, who's not been any higher than 3rd in an event so far this season, would have his first round win. Through Sheen Curve.
Sorry, mate. I was taking that in for a moment. Then, yeah, this top pack. You've essentially got these 2 packs now. You've got the top 7. I'm going to say Will Doyle, by the way, he's had a bit of a dramatic evening, but featuring really well in this 3rd race. You just saw him there at the back of this sort of top pack, albeit Friedman and de Havilland are pulling away slightly, getting a bit of breathing space. We've got this front pack, and then 8th place, you saw Jack Eyre, we saw him have that incident, fell back into that secondary pack. That's the second pack, the one that Sam Sanders, by the way, has just worked himself to the front of there, so he'll now be trying to chase Jack Eyre. So he sort of cleared that traffic that he came up onto the back of. That's well done for Sam Sanders. You can see in the background, Josh Mitchell is not having quite such an easy time of doing so, although here he is challenging the former race leader of Charlie Summers into turn number 1. But this is that secondary pack down to 14th place. Ollie Davis is fighting back with Josh Mitchell. So those are the 2 sort of front packs, if you like. And then people a little bit more spread out behind.
Stories everywhere you look here tonight. That battle there between Mitchell and Davis, that is 3rd in the Clubman standings at the start of the night for Ollie Davis versus the Clubman standings leader. So that's got plenty riding on it. For Sam Sanders, as wide there goes Michael Weddle. That's a relatively tame one by tonight's levels of excitement. Gets back on the road and only loses 1 position to Will Doyle as a result. Championship at the very front. Matt Kendall versus Sam Sanders. Right now, I've been doing some of the maths. You know we're going to do the maths at this stage of the season. I reckon right now, Matt Kendall is putting 70 points on Sam Sanders tonight. That is a really, really big turnover of points for Matt Kendall. It's pretty much a flip of what we saw between those 2 at Imola the last time we had the MX-5s out. So again, it could swing back again. It is all shaping up now, particularly with Kieran Harrison having sat out these 3 rounds now. I mean, we'll do the maths. I think this means the championship is going to go all the way to Donington Park in 4 weeks' time. Everything for Premier is going to be on the line. Those prizes, oh, it's round there. A half round was João Castro. And now there's contact with Michael Weddle and Will Doyle. Michael Weddle's trying to hold it around the outside. That's going to be a brave one. Can he keep it pointing in the right direction? At least get back on the road. Yes, he can. Oh, loses 2 positions as a result. But that all stemmed from a moment for João Castro on the exit of Druids.
Actually was the rallycross line, wasn't it? That's exactly where the rallycross loop
used to be.
Used to be. Nicely demonstrated.
But yes, now I think with the way that this is all working out, we are, and I love this as a neutral, we are going to be talking about overall championship when we get to Donington. Remember, it's not just iRacing dollars on the line, it's a free race in the CLUB100 SP40 Championships that the top drivers in Premier, Clubman and Intermediate are racing for. That's a half spin for Andy Alston. Oh, well avoided by James Fremont and well dealt with there by Andy Alston, who just kept himself predictable. Got on the brakes, got the car stopped and proceeded on when safe to do so. Battle for 7th place there, briefly between Weddle and Air. This is Josh Mitchell.
Who's Josh Mitchell again?
Yeah, he's gone backwards.
Oh, he's gone round on his own. That was through Surtees.
It was indeed. Well, as Josh Mitchell, I think that's the end of Josh Mitchell's night. I think this is not going to be a good one for Josh. Now, forgive me, I can't quite remember exactly where he finished in his first race. But I think there's a possibility that this ends up as his worst Mazda MX-5 round as Will Doyle's off. Will Doyle off down at the bottom of Paddock Hill Bend, and looking stuck there is the damage to the rear left. He's towed to the pits. That's going to be a long tow as well. I don't know if we can,
that was a horrible place to have to rejoin,
yeah,
to be honest.
Let's have a look at what happened.
That's already...
Oh, he's hit. So Doyle's already had an incident there, and then Charlie Summers has had his own moment. So this is the original incident for Will Doyle. A simple spin and loss of control, very easy to do. And then look out for the red and black car of Charlie Summers, who's having his own incident, clouts the rear left of Will Doyle. That's why Will Doyle's Mazda MX-5 is not getting out of there in a hurry, and that is the end of Will Doyle's race.
Oh,
as both leaders are off. I'm lost for words. I'm starting to get lost for words here tonight. But I was about to say, Friedman, the race leader's off, and de Havilland was having his own moment directly behind.
I can't remember a time you and I have well, it's been a long time since we've done commentary where I'm having to actively avoid just doing involuntary gasps for every... Like, we are actually here to talk you through the action, folks, but my goodness, it's actually quite difficult. Not because there's no action, but because I'm just involuntarily like wincing and gasping as everyone goes around every corner. This is the battle for 3rd place. Matt Kendall versus Will Blackwell Chambers. But Freeman being kept honest for the lead, isn't he, by James de Havilland, although de Havilland's having a few harem-scarum moments around this Brands Hatch circuit.
I won't repeat what James said in the Discord about the weather conditions. I don't think he was particularly impressed when he saw the regeneration at 5:45 this evening, but he's excelling in them. This is the battle for 5th place, and Jack Eyre sweetly round the outside of João Castro gains that position. Now this is a really important race for Jack Eyre if it wasn't before, because with Josh Mitchell out of this one, Jack Eyre has to capitalise on this opportunity to swing the battle in the Clubman standings back in his favour. Sam Sanders is going to be trying to get past João Castro as well, on board with the number 3 now. Getting past Castro is not going to be easy. Castro knows as well, for his championship bid in the intermediate class, these are big results. it's not going to fully pull him back into full contention, but at the rate at which Castro is pulling points back on Matthew Davis and Findlay Brunton, this could be heading for a grandstand finish at Donington Park in 4 weeks' time as well. And for that reason, Castro's not going to be keen to let Sam Sanders through. Back with the race leaders, 10 minutes to go. James de Havilland looking for a possible move into Druids. I don't think there's really going to be anything on there through Druids, because that outside line is so much better than the inside line. Yes, there's the gap to get down the inside on the brakes, but you simply can't get the power off the corner at this precise moment in time. Fascinated to see how the two Clapham North cars play this as well. I don't think we've actually seen this so far this season, that these two drivers who know each other very well in Matt Kendall and Will Blackwell Chambers line astern on the road, potentially an opportunity for them to work together here, but these conditions are so bad, the last thing I'd want to be doing right now is any kind of bump drafting.
Yeah, I was about to say, there's help, but then sometimes help is not wanted. I think, I think they could, if the two ahead of them get stuck in battling and have a bit of a moment, which is definitely within the realms of possibility, then I can see something where they're the more sort of stable pairing who sort of work together to get ahead and stay ahead. But this is be interesting to see.
Matthew Davis was just pulling over to one side there. That's another developing story, and similar to what we've been saying about Josh Mitchell and his Achilles heel being the Mazda MX-5 races. It's a continuation of a concerning trend for Matthew Davis, who did enter the night as the standings leader in intermediate in that 225 that's just been lapped. I reckon this is going to be another sub 100 point score for Matthew Davis, as we're having a look here at a moment for Jack Eyre, who looked to be out one.
That's Sam Sanders, Mike.
Yeah, Castro and Sanders through.
It's changed back again. Yeah. Sorry, that was a replay of Sam Sanders getting by on Jack Eyre, having previously got past Castro. Now they're in completely the opposite order. This one is looking likely to run and run.
Yes, I tend to agree with you there. But short version of things for Matthew Davis as João Castro runs wide out of Graham Hill Bend. Yes, he's getting more points on the board, but not a lot of them. So even though Findlay Brunton is not racing here tonight, that's kind of good news for him, as Castro's Castro off through Surtees, comes back on the circuit. Michael Weddle has to take a level of avoiding action. Castro loses 3 places there. That must have been very, very close to the wall. On board with Michael Weddle in the 117. Sam Sanders just ahead. Braking. Strange. I think maybe just trying to get a bit of control of the front axle. What a dramatic evening we have had here tonight. 18.25 minutes of this race gone. Let's have another look at a replay. This was Castro's moment. Just didn't get into the corner through Surtees and then ran out wide. Makes an effort to keep it to driver's right. Michael Weddle, I'd say, has still got a role to play in this season, Howard. He's going to need some mighty scores to win in Clubman, because this is his 5th appearance from 9 possible rounds. So again, he's another driver who's used more than his 3 rounds of drops in terms of the 0 scores. But when he has been here, he's been competitive so far this season.
Yeah, indeed. He's in that sort of disruptor position in some ways, isn't he? Take that off your bingo card again. For those playing along. Oh, that's a moment for him! Coming out of Graham Hill Bend. Big save for Weddle. That was another heart-in-the-mouth moment. We've had so many. I have to say, by the way, we've not, there's been so much action, we've not been able to show it much. There is a there is a drama and a half that's been going on in rookie class. Matthew Shawnee's had several dramas, several off-track moments, but I did see as well Harrison Chapman, we're going back quite a few laps now, but he had his own off-track moment as the class leader. So rookies, Tom Holland having surely one of his better runs of late, second in class at the moment in 18th place, and Eric Mignon bringing up the podium positions. They're quite spread out in that rookie class, but my goodness me, is it all about keeping it consistent, keeping it on the island, and bringing this one home. But yeah, not perhaps the usual running order that we've seen of late in rookie class, albeit Harrison Chapman still heads that up in 15th place overall.
Yeah, and for Holland and Mignon getting more points on the board, they've been very loyal participants in the series throughout the course of the season. And for Eric Mignon,
that was the end of Matthew Shawnee having a big off-track moment, and he's back in the pits again.
Oh, this is not going to be a good score for Matthew Shawnee. Here's a battle between the Clapham North cars. Will Blackwell Chambers down the inside of Matt Kendall. This is not the best news for Matt Kendall's championship hopes. He's going to lose a handful of points with that move. As well, on the opposite side of the equation, Sam Sanders is now trying to get down the inside of Jack Hare, as there's a problem for Michael Weddle. Once again, stories everywhere you look. Sanders has got through and into 5th place, and how about this for a turnaround? There's now, about 9 seconds between Sam Sanders and Matt Kendall. Jack Hare trying to get that position back. This is for 5th place. This has been a good return for Sam Sanders. It's not going to be a return that sees him take points off of Matt Kendall, but it massively reduces the arrears. This is how, that's a big spin for Michael Weddle. Oh, that's a very close moment with Joao Castro as well. Castro doing fantastically to avoid further incident.
That was another close one. I don't want to sound blasé about it by this point, but my goodness me, we're having so many of these moments. On board with Jack Hare, chasing Sam Sanders for 5th place. I mean, no matter what happens, what a recovery these two drivers have had over the course of this race. And this being able to hold the slide like that.
I'm not even having the heart in mouth. My heart's just staying down. This is just how this evening's going to go for the rest of the night. There's still probably 3.5 minutes of racing to go here. They get past Matthew Davis there in the 225. He's had a torrid night. There is your race leader. And, well, Henry Mackenzie Friedman. Brilliant first race. And a real fighter's drive, I thought, in that first race. Stamped his authority on this round. He has taken every opportunity that's come before him here at Brands Hatch. He's not had it easy. He's had his own little problems here and there, but right now he's on to win the round with a championship score of 234 from a possible 240.
Joined this battle 5th place, and we find Jack Hare in his now customary sliding around, finding the grip somehow and pointing in the right direction. Oh, we've got an issue for Charlie Summers as well. It's recovering. And it's another incident down at Graham Hill Bend.
Damage on the front right, which was already there. So I'm suspecting that this is going to be a spin. Oh, just got on the white line.
Yeah.
Got on the white line at that point where you want the car to commit. And a simple spin, no contact. And I think Summers maybe lost 1 position in all of that.
I do apologise for the density of replays we're having to go through, but this race does have a habit of about 5 things happening all at the same time, and then it calms down for a bit, and then it happens again.
Leaders in and through Paddock Hill Bend. So white flag this time around. Sam Sanders trying to hold on ahead of Jack Hare here for 5th place. Jack Hare looking down the inside into Paddock Hill Bend. Both of these drivers need these championship points. That's a lovely move from Jack Hare, but can he get it done? On the exit, goes through the puddle. That's going to give Sam Sanders the opportunity to get the braking done into Druids, trying to get it locked down on that tricky inside line. Sam Sanders holds on to 5th place, but that was a mighty good go by Jack Eyre.
Harrison Chapman has had to go into the pits.
Oh.
He's come off the track, and that means that your rookie leader now becomes Tom Holland in 17th place.
He's gained 8 places in this race. This battle, by the way, is worth 2 championship points. This is what went wrong for Harrison Chapman. Out of Graham Hill bend again, into the wall, and that's such a frustrating kind of incident, Howard, because once you've gone beyond the point of no return, it's nothing Harrison could have done there, but it's a long, long wait to meet the barrier. We are on the last lap. This battle for 5th place still raging on, but Henry Mackenzie Friedman is on his way to a first round victory of the season in the CLUB100 iRacing Championship. He has tamed these terrible conditions and some here tonight at Brands Hatch. Henry Mackenzie Friedman comes over the line, makes it 2 wins and a 2nd from 3 races here tonight, and wins round 9 of the CLUB100 iRacing Championship. 2nd for James de Havilland, 3rd for Will Blackwell Chambers. What a turnaround for him. 4th for Matt Kendall, extends his championship lead. Jack Eyre got 5th place there right at the end, as João Castro is having an extremely adventurous finish to the race, but wins in intermediate there with 7th place overall. So Jack Eyre was 5th, Sam Sanders was 6th, Castro 7th, first of the intermediates. This is for the last of positions in the top 10. Useful points for Ollie Davis tonight, keeps his tally ticking over. Charlie Summers in 11th. We're waiting to see as 2nd place for Matt Hale in a sodden, wet road race. What a result this is going to be for Matt Hale, who's put the practice in, been working on the settings and got one of his best results of the year so far. P12, John Adey P13. We're waiting to see the 395 come over the line of Tom Holland. In fact, he already has taken the checkered flag, one off the lead, and is the race winner in rookies. Well, on a night where the stories just kept on coming, it's been a topsy-turvy old night, Howard. And for Henry Mackenzie Friedman, that is a properly deserving round victory.
Not half. That's I think in terms of steering angles turn through, he's done the most work of anyone for the season to get that round victory. With the amount of opposite lot these drivers have been having to put on. We're watching, by the way, Eric Mignon, who I don't believe has yet taken the checkered flag, but who eventually will come home in 2nd place. Yes, what a way to win the round for Henry Mackenzie Friedman. Takes that first win of the season, and you know the race results in the history books will make it look like it was, oh yeah, there he goes, you know, taking the wins, every single person had to work for every single inch of this Brands Hatch circuit this evening, and he has, as you said it perfectly as he crossed the line, mate, tamed these conditions absolutely brilliantly. As Eric Mignon crosses the line to finish 2nd in rookie class. Well done to him, and well done to Tom Holland as well. I'm going to put the race results up, Andrew. I'm going to need a moment. I'm going to need a moment.
Let's have a look at the results from race 3, which was just as bonkers as the first 2. Henry Mackenzie Friedman wins it by 1.5 seconds from James de Havilland. Will Blackwell Chambers, what a night for Will Blackwell Chambers. Started in disaster, finishes the final race of the evening, P3. Actually, I think ends up having one of his best Mazda nights of the season so far after all of that. 4th for Matt Kendall, a useful 4th. He will extend his championship lead. We'll do all the maths and everything to come there. But with no Kieran Harrison here tonight and problems for Sam Sanders, he will extend his lead. He does lose a couple of points, of course, or probably 10 points or so to Henry Mackenzie-Friedman at the end of things tonight. But again, Henry Mackenzie-Friedman has got a deficit in the 100 of points. So Matt Kendall is still very much the driver to beat. Jack Eyre in 5th place. A good battle there at the end with Sam Sanders, who recovered after his spin in race 2. Cameron Watson and Michael Weddle, both ahead of Ollie Davis. They're all in the top 10, completed by Charlie Summers. That must mean that someone has had a demotion at the end. I think João Castro might have had an automatically applied time penalty at the end of that race, because you can see him there in 11th place. Matt Hale in 12th. John Adey 13th. So 1, 2, 3 there for your intermediates in race number 3. Andy Alston P14. Yusuf Bin Sahel P15. Decent night for Yusuf. Had problems at the start of race 1, but I think he's been in the top 15 in all three races tonight. So fair play there to Yusuf, getting some more points on the board. James Fremont in 16th. A rookie win for Tom Holland in 17th. That will please the Warwick Motorsport crew here this evening. Matthew Davis, tough night for Matthew Davis. P18 in that one. Does get some more points on the board, but on a night where his big title rival in intermediate, Finlay Brunton, wasn't here, Davis hasn't quite been able to take advantage of that here this evening. 19th and 20th were Eric Mignon and Harrison Chapman. Across the course of the night, that is still going to be a good points gain for Harrison Chapman against Matthew Shawnee in those rookie point stakes. Tim Penny, P21. Difficult night for Tim. Matthew Shawnee, Sam Dimolo, Will Doyle, Magnus Riddervold, Josh Mitchell, Simon Delamere, Rana Menon on debut, and Craig Brown were all retirements from that one. Real shame for Magnus after that unbelievably brilliant qualifying to take pole position ahead of all of the premiers, all of the clubmans. Yeah, he would have hoped for a bit more tonight in terms of the racing results. Howard, you've had your moment to pause and reflect. What are your last thoughts before we wrap up here tonight?
I'm sure there are a few drivers who come away from this one feeling a little bit, there's a case of what might have been Magnus Riddervold being a great example off the back of that really good qualifying. But on the whole, do you know what? Thanks to the drivers. I needed a bit of a midweek pick-me-up, and that was really good. So, yeah, but I think the more so tonight than at any other time, the practice that these drivers are putting in really started to show. Yes, okay, we had, all sorts of dramatic moments, but that's the conditions. That will do that. These drivers are pushing the limits, were pushing the limits, and you could see that any time we went on board with anybody, right? But the practice from these drivers is really paying off, and there are so many drivers, Andrew, that we're seeing who just continue to grow so brilliantly in this championship. And it's a pleasure to watch, and yet at the same time, the names that we're perhaps a bit more familiar with, having a right old ding dong at the front to keep us entertained as well. It is such a competitive field, and it's what's brilliant about it all is all the championships roll on, and they look like they're going to run all the way to the end.
It's gonna be a busy end of the season with these four classes. Before we go, I just want to give some thanks to folks in chat, because chat's been active tonight, but because there's been so much going on our screens, we've not been able to say our hello. So thank you very much for being in touch. Murray Adams, Greg Smith, Seb Algieri, Ian Sumner, John McNally Roberts, Dave Whitehouse. Brilliant news, Dave. Really hope that we can see you for the final two rounds. Thank you to Natalie McNally Roberts as well. John Adey's been in the chat in the middle of tonight as well, even whilst he's been racing. Matt Hale, this is rather tricky, he said earlier, and Steve Hicks as well. I know he's on winter test at the moment up in Sweden. Hope our coverage of tonight's race has been able to warm you on this Wednesday evening, wherever you are in the world. More commentary coming this weekend. Once SDK review is done, I'll be going to bed. and then up in the morning to fly to Valencia. Great to be going back to Valencia. Obviously, how things ended in 2024 weren't great, but great to be going back to that part of the world, rebuilt and ready for Miami Winter Cup this weekend. So keep an eye on the DDMM socials for all of that. And not too distant future as well, we'll be having some car racing as well with the Keelik crew and Alpha Live there in Valencia this weekend as well, just down the road at Ricardo Tormo. Next up for this championship, if I'm not mistaken, is 2 weeks' time, the final GT3 event of the season. And what a place to be having it. Interlagos will be our host circuit for the penultimate round of the championship. And from what I've been hearing from certain individuals who like to play with the Tempest weather system and click regenerate a lot, that could be a wet race in all probability as well. So do tune in for that one. Same time, same place, Wednesday, 2 weeks' time. And then the season finale as well, Donington Park, back in these Mazda MX-5s. That'll be in 4 weeks' time, and you can still join as well. There are still places on the grid if you want to have a final end of the season flourish. We are planning some more events for the spring and summer as well, but if you want to get involved, if you're a Club 100 driver, BUKC driver, past or present, if you're a current BPEC driver, you are involved. If you've got a relation to any of those aforementioned folks, you're eligible, and you've got a Motorsports UK esports license, you are eligible as well. And as well, if you are let me get this right, a university society member of a university society that's involved with the BUKC, you are eligible as well. Do get involved. Links down below to the SimGrid page where you can get signed up and we can get you on the grid. That's all we've got time for. Thank you very much for joining us here tonight. It has been a wild ride here at Brands Hatch for round 9 of the Club 100 iRacing Championship. My name's been Andrew Mather. He's been Howard Mitchell. Thank you very much for being with us tonight. We'll see you in 2 weeks' time at Interlagos. Do take care, and we'll see you very soon. Bye-bye.